Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedbuilding video. So in today's video I'm going to be building another starter house, and it feels like a really long time since I've actually built a starter house, but I think it's only been around about a month or so. I built a starter house when we just got island living, and I actually built one in kind of like I'm not sure what it's called, but it's kind of like the more distant away houses with all the white sand around it. And I actually built a starter house there, which was a massive challenge because the lot alone was actually 4,000 simoleons, so I didn't actually have a lot of money to work with that budget. But for today's video I am doing another starter house, and I'm really excited to share this starter house because I've wanted to do this one since we got the latest patch update. So with the last patch, as you all probably know, we got this massive update which allows us to have access to a load of different new debug menu items that are in and around the world. And one of the first things I did when we just got that patch update was I went through and I just looked at all the new amazing items that we got with the patch. We don't actually have everything that is in all the worlds. I have noticed a few items that we are missing, but for the majority of it is there. But one thing that I did actually notice when I was going through and looking through all the menu and just seeing all the new items is because we got this massive update with all the stuff in and around the world. One thing that is around the world is a lot of landscaping items, so a lot of different plants and trees, and that is something that I actually noticed we now actually have access to in the debug menu. And because they're in the debug menu, sometimes if it's kind of like a collectible thing in the debug menu and you can actually sell it for simoleons, then it will cost you. But for the majority of it, you can actually get them for no money at all. And so I've actually wanted to build a starter house since we've had that update for a really long time, since we've actually had that update, because normally whenever I do starter houses, which I absolutely love doing, you guys, if you're regular to my channel, you know that I absolutely love building starter houses. I love the challenge of it, and it's just one of my favorite things to build. But ever since we've had that update, I've just really wanted to sit down and build something using all these landscaping items that we have now in that debug menu, because they don't cost any money. I don't think I spend more than around about 150 simoleons in the end on the landscaping. As you will kind of see, you might see me place some kind of flowers and plants out of the actual normal building by menu, but I knew that I was actually just going to go back, and you will see that at the end I was just kind of placing them for placeholders, because I actually got all of these plants out of the debug menu and then exited my game, so the whole menu wasn't there when I was actually building, because sometimes it can be quite long. So that's why you will notice that I'm actually putting them out of the household inventory. But I do actually go back at the end and just kind of replace them with some out of the debug menu. But the only ones that I actually end up using are the romantic garden stuff. I'm not sure what kind of flower they are, but they are some of my favorite flowers to use in the game. They're the ones that I just put just kind of either side of the stairs that lead up to the front door. I absolutely love them ones, and I just feel like my houses, it just looks so much better with them when I landscape. They were some of my favorite plants to use, and so I believe that actually the only piece of landscaping that actually cost me any money when I was building this. All the rest of the landscaping, even the trees, was all just completely free because I got them from the debug menu. And I'm so happy that we've actually been able to do this now, because when it comes to building starter houses, the part that seems to be, for me anyway, that I seem to struggle on is just the landscaping, because you want to actually have things that your Sims can use in the house and not so much for decoration. And so now that we've got this, you can actually do that, and you can landscape to your heart's content. You just need to turn on the new cheat. I can't think what the new cheat is off the top of my head, but I'll put a little thing on the screen now. So if you don't know what the new cheat is, you have to enter that after you enter bb.show hidden objects. It is one of the best things and one of the best things to ever come from a free patch update. So I highly recommend, even if you are not a massive builder and you like to download some people's houses off the gallery, even for you just to have a look, because there is some really, really cool things in there. But as you can see, I've started moving on and I'm furnishing it the back garden, or landscaping the back garden. So I use the Strangerville fence, which is also the same fence that I use in the front garden. That is one of my favorite fences in the game, and I absolutely love it. I did actually have a fence from the debug menu which you can actually try and build, and I was going to try and use that so it would save a little bit more money, so I had a little bit more money to work with. But in the end it was just too short for me, so I decided to actually splurge out on the fence and actually buy that from the build and buy menu, and one of my favorite things that we actually got from this new patch update is this bush, which I've laid across one of the back walls in the house. I think it is so beautiful. I've spoken about this before. It's probably one of my favorite new items, if not my favorite new item, but it's this really beautiful dark bush with these really beautiful white little flowers in them. I'm not even sure whereabouts in the world this is, maybe in Windenburg, but it's so beautiful. But you would have actually seen me that I pulled it straight out of one of my saved rooms. I have spoken about this in the past, but I always like to share it just in case, because sometimes when I don't speak about it in my videos, I do get questions about it. So basically what I did is a really long time ago, I just went in and I put all the debug menu items that I typically tend to use into a little room and then saved it to my library, and then that way they're always accessible in your little saved rooms, like menu option when you're building, and then you don't actually have to turn on the cheat, because at this point I'd actually turned off the cheat, like the debug cheat, and I didn't want to re-enter it because like I said, the menu gets really long, and so when you just pull it out of the saved menu or the saved room menu, you don't actually have to re-enter the cheat. It's just really useful. So you kind of would have seen me do it at the start when I'd kind of placed them bushes over. I just kind of wanted to mention that because I feel like sometimes when I don't mention it, I do get a few comments on it. But now I'm kind of moving on and I'm actually starting furnishing at the back garden. So I feel like ever since we've got sun lounges or sunbeds, I've been putting them in every single one of my houses, but I did put them in this house as well. I used the base game ones, which are actually the ones that I have found myself to use more often than the island living ones. I just really like the base game ones, and I feel like they come in some really nice swatches and they're just really perfect for a kind of a neutral garden. So we do just have 2 of them in the back garden, as well as some kind of debug flower pot. So these are another item that I got from the debug menu, and I just kind of wanted it to look like the sim that live here could possibly just like landscaping their garden and making it look as beautiful as possible. So I just placed a few of them around. I also placed a little planter box so your sims can grow their own fruits and vegetables, and then I also placed a little table and chairs. The table is from, I believe it's Get Together, and then the chairs are base game. At the minute there's actually 3 chairs around the table, but at the very end of the video I do struggle for money a little bit, so I do actually go back and remove one of the chairs just to give myself a little bit more of a budget to work with it. So in the end there's actually only 2 chairs there. But moving on, I've started furnishing the house now, and I actually started off with the bathroom, and this is something that I always find myself doing. I always do bathrooms first whenever I do starter houses. I just kind of want to make sure that that room is done and complete and there is everything that your sim needs in there. In here I did just use a spa day wallpaper and flooring, and then the toilet and the bathtub is from base game, and then I believe the little sink is from Parenthood as well. But moving on, I've already started furnishing the little bedroom area. So this house does only have 1 bedroom. I created this house to be for a single sim, so you can create a sim straight from CAS and move them straight into this house with no money problems. Obviously though, where it is kind of on a single sim budget, if you would like to move in 2 sims, maybe a couple or something, then you definitely can do that. They'll just have a little bit more money to start off with. I think at the end of the build I had around about 200 simoleons left, and so if you actually move in another sim, that will add more simoleons to your household money. But for this house I just kind of did it off a starter sim budget, like a single sim budget, but obviously there is 2 sides to the bed, so there is a placement for 2 sims to sleep in this room. But I am just kind of finishing up this little bedroom area, and now I'm actually moving on and furnishing the rest of the house. So I did now just move on straight into the kitchen, because that was kind of the next need. I did the bathroom, I did the bedroom, and now I actually needed to do the kitchen, so your sims had somewhere to eat and make their own food. And it actually worked out perfectly, because when I was building this house I created this little kind of like bump out on one of the sides, and I thought it would be the perfect placement to put the little kitchen area, and so I did just put the kitchen in there. Originally I actually used this base game fridge, which I believe is around 1,500 simoleons, but I actually do end up deleting that and replacing it with a cheaper fridge, just because I wanted to kind of splurge out on some more items in the house, and I wanted your sims to have more gameplay to do. So I do actually just replace that in a little while with a cheaper fridge. You would have seen I did also add a little desk area into this house as well. Now I actually wanted to add a computer, but I just didn't have the money to do it. So maybe that can be one of the first things that your sim could buy if you decide to move into this house and you decide to download it off the gallery. I really wanted to add one, and I normally try to add them in my starter houses, but I just really did not have the money for it in this one. But at the minute you can kind of see that I've now started going around and swapping out some items and try to change them. I did actually try and did make a fake carpet or a fake rug out of carpet in the bedroom, but then in the end I actually used one of the Seasons ones that is kind of like a doormat for the front door, so it is really small, and then I just sized it up. There is actually a really nice pattern on that one, so I decided to go for that one. But now I did just add a little lamp area into kind of like the TV entertainment area, and now I actually do just finish this kind of room off by adding a little dining room table. I know that we do actually have a breakfast bar in this house, but I just kind of wanted a dining room table in front of these Seasons windows. But I am now just kind of finishing off the interior of the house, and then in a minute I'm going to go back outside and replace all of the plants that I did end up deleting it, so I had a bigger budget. But anyway guys, I am actually going to end this voiceover here. So as always, you can download this house via the gallery. My origin ID is JessicapieYT, or you can search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. But anyway guys, I'm going to leave you here. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this little single sim starter, and as always, if you do like my content, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.